All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we are prepared to get underway for the sixth consecutive stint for TORA's 24 Hours of Daytona. We are not doing too bad, even if we start having to go through a lot of lobby restarts all of a sudden. We're only 21 minutes behind at the end of Stint 5. We're honestly doing fantastic. Your leader is HYR Iris. This car finished second in Stint 3, second in Stint 4, and won by a gigantic margin in Stint 5. So the HYR car, the HYR Mazda, is finally really coming into its own. Figgy Boy in the Mercedes is second. Third will be AFMG Vorm. Fourth will be AMS Bread. Fifth will be PM1 Doyle. Sixth will be Calco, back in the Porsche. That is the driver who won Stint 1 in that Porsche. Seventh will be DMS Idol. Eighth will be Elmag Lyric NV. Ninth will be Lazy Arc 62. 10th will be HYZ Derluki. And 11th will be Pop Leopard, with 12th being Tank Waterbar. 12th will be Tank Waterbox. Somehow, Just Unku is loaded in as a F1 car. I'm assuming that they will just pull over and back out immediately. That shouldn't be too much of an issue, I would hope. In the bottom category, in the GTOs, it will be LMP Dragon on pole, followed by DMS Sleepy, then BFL Cyber, TPR Moki, The Most Stretch, and DMS Hunter 21. As we are preparing to get underway here for our sixth straight stint here tonight at Daytona. All right, we should be going any moment now. We are in a bit of a holding pattern right now, as I'm guessing they're still trying to get the order properly resolved here. All right, here we are. Now we're loading onto the circuit. Again, we are anticipating that Just Unku will pull off the circuit almost immediately off the start here. All right, here we are. Field rolling now will be Iris, Figgy Boy, Vorm, Bread, Doyle, Calco, Idol, Lyric, Lazy Arc, Tank Waterbox, Derluki, and Pop Leopard. For the prototypes, that will be Moki, Dragon, Cyber, Hunter, Sleepy, and Stretch for the GTOs. All right, and we are off once again. Prototypes immediately flash by, and now there go the GTs. Moki gets to the front almost immediately here. But at the front, it is Figgy Boy and Iris. Iris leads, but Figgy Boy is tucked up right behind. Figgy goes to the inside, Iris to the outside, just about neck and neck. And now Iris ducks down beneath Figgy Boy. Nose to tail as they fly through turn 4. Now Iris looks to the outside, now falls back in line behind Figgy Boy, now looks to the outside again, side by side, between the Mercedes and the Mazda. As they go down into the bus stop chicane, Iris is the one who backs out early, and it brings Brad right up behind. Brad got right behind, he's backwards. No one else is gonna get caught up in it by the looks of it, it's just Brad. But Brad, who had that fantastic start, now falls all the way back to the 11th. But again, there is no damage on his car, I believe. But there's another car sideways. That's Vorm. Vorm, who started in the top 3, is limping around. There's no damage on his car as well, though. So Vorm is going to fall behind several of the GTOs, and Brad will fall to 11th. But at the front, Figgy Boy finally trying to get by Iris, cannot. Iris holds station over Figgy Boy. As we are back at it all over again. Coming out of the hairpin, big twitch, big slide by both of our top 2 drivers. PM1 Doyle is up to 3rd now. This is the highest we've seen this car running for a while. That number 91 white and aqua blue machine. Now a little bit farther back is Lyric NV with Lazy Arc, and that Aston right behind Lazy Arc gets knocked off circuit there by Drluki. Drluki muscling his way to the inside, and Lazy Arc goes deep into the dirt. He's gonna fall to 7th now. And now here comes DMS Idol. Idol trying to work around the outside as they come back onto Speedway Turn 1. Side by side as they come out of there. They're still side by side. Idol cuts down in front of Drluki. And now he's got a run on Lyric NV. Lyric has nowhere he can go. The 49's looking to the outside. Here comes the Jag. Here comes the 275. They're going to be 3 ways to go to the corner. Someone has to back out of it. It will be Lyric who backs out of it. And so does the 49. Drluki goes up into 4th position and immediately hits the dirt on the way out, so Idol is still going to get a draft off of him now. Just Unku still stationary on the circuit there. Not really sure what's going on there. Well, this isn't a bad camera angle. It's just kind of useless. Iris leads over Figgy Boy right now. As Figgy Boy now has PM1 Doyle starting to roll down on him bit by bit. Drluki up into 4th now, trying to stay ahead of DMS Idol. A little bit of chaos in the prototypes early on with several different prototype entries spinning. Meanwhile, in the bottom category, it is LMP Dragon in the Audi that leads. DMS Hunter has gotten his 67 up into the 2nd position, and TBR Moki runs in 3rd. 4th is Most Stretch, 5th is Cyber, and 6th is DMS Sleepy. Iris is now pulled away from Figgy Boy at this stage of the event. So I have to wonder, is Figgy going to be running on a harder tire early on here? Is that what is going on between this duo? I have a feeling that may actually be the case. No, I don't actually have a feeling that's the case, actually. Iris is only at 13.6. Iris might just be legitimately faster than Figgy right now. Drluki coming up now on Figgy Boy. No, that's Doyle. Well, they're both coming up on Figgy Boy. Side by side for a 3rd spot. Drluki inside, and he's gonna stay ahead of Doyle. So Drluki in 3rd. Now he's running down on Figgy Boy. So we're about to have a menage a trois for the 2nd position. It looks like we may be looking at second verse, same song, with the HYR driver zooming off into the distance and every other position from 2nd to about 10th being up in the air. Out of the hairpin, coming back onto the banked oval. Through turns 1 and 2. Drluki still running just a little bit behind Figgy Boy right now. Trying to close in once again. Pulling up behind. Is he going to go for the run into the He did not go for a dive into the bus stop chicane, but he has a heck of a run on Figgy Boy coming out of there. He's going to shoot to the outside on corner exit. Drluki versus Figgy, neck and neck as they go through Speedway Turn 3. Now through Speedway Turn 4, they're still in a dead heat, but I think that 275 is going to get an advantage coming off the banking there. Get a bit of a run. They're still side by side. Now as they come up to the start-finish line. Figgy Boy holds the lead, holds second for now. Drluki dives to the inside. Fig slides wide. Drluki goes up into second. Well, we've seen this before. An HYR in first, and then Drluki in second. Figgy now slips back to third as going to be under threat from Doyle if he can't keep up here. And it seems like he cannot. So whatever is going on with Fig, he does not seem to have a lot of confidence in this car right now. Does not seem to have the ability to keep pace with these drivers in front of him. Round out of the hairpin and firing back onto the oval, but I don't think Figgy is close enough to get a draft on Drluki. Iwano Doyle not really close enough either, but we may have a fight here between Lazy Arc 62 and AMS Bread. A lot of drivers doing double duties from Stint 5 to Stint 6 here. At Cognizant, number 224, holding the bus stop chicane. Big slide, really wide, coming out of the bus stop. Brett is still right there. He's got a draft off that Austin of the Aston Martin, looking to the outside, pulling up, just about even, neck and neck, side by side. And Brett is going to clear arc with almost no issue whatsoever. Solid run there. Real quick, we look at our leader, HYR Iris. They're fuel and tires. They're at 25% in the tires, 37% in the fuel. For Drluki, he is at 28% tire, 30% fuel. For Figgy Boy, he is at 25% tires, 40% fuel. So he's a little bit over fuel. Fourth place, Doyle, 41% fuel, 25% tires. DMS Idol, who's just moved into fifth. 26% tires, 38% fuel. So Idle has harder tires, but not a whole lot of extra fuel. So I wonder what's going on there, what the strategy is on this car. AMS Bread in sixth. 20.5% fuel, 40% tires. Seventh place, Lazy Arc. 30% fuel, 34% tires. But he's also got engine damage. That's not going to help him. LMAG, Lyric in V at eighth. 27% tires, 32% fuel. So a lot of drivers farther back are on the harder tires. Here's Calco, the driver who won back in Stint 1. 34.5% fuel, 28.7% tires. Then 10th place, way farther back, Tank Waterbox. This car came home second in the prior stint, nowhere near there right now. He's got 29.5% tires, 34% fuel. And the field seems to be relatively spread out early on in the top 5. It's a little bit tighter here between AMS Bread and Lazy Arc as Bread gets to the outside and Lazy Arc goes back to the front here. About 10 minutes in, but this one seems to be a little bit calmer right now in the prototype category. Your leader, Iris, is about to start catching GTO category traffic. Drluki, I don't think, is really close enough to capitalize if Iris gets held up by those GTO cars up there. At least not capitalize in any significant way. Dragon has opened up a solid gap on the rest of the GTO field. DMS Hunter runs in second. Most Stretch runs in third right now. And the prototypes are coming to give these drivers just a little bit of frustration here. Most Stretch closing in on DMS Hunter now. right, so stretch, trying to close in. And there goes your leaders. Iris has already just about cleared the entire traffic. Derluki hasn't done it quite yet. He looks ahead. Iris being held up by your leader, that 824 of LMP Dragon. Derluki not really held up anywhere near. So actually, I was wrong. Derluki really benefited from traffic that time. He is legitimately closing down on Iris. You see our top two in prototypes coming down the back straightaway, and they're about to fire it off into the bus stop chicane. Here it comes. Inside. Derluki, Iris outside. And there's just nothing Iris can do to fight back. So Derluki now goes to the lead. Derluki was on track to come home second in the last stint. Now he's fighting for the win here. Still side by side. Iris had the lead at the line. Still neck and neck. They go deep into the corner. Still side by side as they come through turn one. Power down. Both of them slide wide. There's a little bit of contact. They make big contact. Big twist. And Iris is knocked off circuit. And he goes deep into the dirt and licks the outside wall. And Iris, the driver in the car that has been dominant over the last three stints, now plummets out of the top 5 positions all the way down to 7. Oh, he's not the only one. Figgy Boy's gone off as well. Figgy Boy went off shortly afterwards. And that's going to drop Figgy out of the top 10. There's no damage to either car. But all of a sudden, the top 3 completely changes. It is now Derluki, Bread, and Idol. Real quick, someone was asking about the bottom split. LMP Dragon, the wear on his car, 38.8% is the most worn tire on Dragon. For DMS Hunter, who runs in second, he is at 33.5, but he also has a little of engine damage. And then TBR Moki, who is the next highest, he has got 33.4% most worn tire. I don't like to cast A-Lobby if I can help it. That's the main reason why I'm not casting A-Lobby. I like to cast the lower lobbies. No! Derluki, our stint leader, drops out! For the 3rd time today! HYR Derluki, we lose him! Once again! We're gonna try and reach out to Derluki and see if he has anything to say, but frustration, as again, he is not able to make it to the end here. And now, the lead goes to DMS Idol as AMS Bread is all of a sudden plummeting. Bread is going ahead and making an early pit stop. So he'll be the first driver in the prototype category to make a stop. DMS Idol, now your leader. This car showed a lot of promise in the daytime since, but as days gone to night, it's kind of gotten away from this DMS entry now. But suddenly he's back in the lead. We have had multiple lead changes, and look at this HYR. Iris is already back up in the 3rd position. After being shunted off track by Derluki, now all of a sudden he's back in 3rd, and is putting the pressure on Lazy Arc. And this Aston Martin, we have never seen it crack the top 3 all day today, and now all of a sudden it's running at the 2nd spot. So it's 3 cars all on top of each other for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and DMS Idol is not that far up the road. They fire around through Speedway Turn 3. Now through Speedway Turn 4. Still, nose to tail. Iris does not have the top end to really do anything to Lazy Arc right now, it would seem. But he is close. Iris is close enough to put that Aston Martin under pressure. We ride on board with Doyle as he looks at those 2 ahead. And really far up ahead, you can see DMS Idol, who is your leader right now. We're about 15 and a half minutes in. Bread was the first driver to pit. I think he may have been choosing to run softs early on, but we've lost a leader. We've also had a leader get knocked off circuit. We're on 4 different leaders at this stage of the event. Iris is now going to clear Lazy Arc. Goes a long way around the outside. Iris was knocked off circuit early, but the driver that knocked him off is now out of the race already. Iris is already back up to 2nd. They are driving with a chip on their shoulder right now as they're flying down into the high-speed bend in the infield. He can see DMS Idol. He can smell the fumes coming out of the tailpipe of Idol's machine at the head of this field. That Jag has shown a lot of potential, but outside of the first 2 stints has not really been able to deliver on it. He's getting to lead, but the problem is that Iris is closing down. You can audibly hear Iris's engine. The thing is, this Mazda does not have a massive amount of top end. DMS Idol, though, does have better top end, but Iris is going to close in massively through the corners. Look at this here as they come up to the bus stop chicane. Iris is going to get a fantastic close in on Idol through here. Look at how much he's close. I don't think Iris is close enough to get the draft off of Idol yet, but already Iris has disposed of Lazy Ark, and Lazy Ark seems to be far enough away from Doyle. I don't think our top 4 are in position to fight yet. Calco, also in that Porsche, has cycled back up into the 5th position right now. We're about 17 and a half minutes in. Your leader in the bottom category is LMP Dragon by a massive gap over TBR Moki, followed by Most Stretched, then DMS Hunter, DMS Sleepy, and BFL Cyber in the GTO category. This here, our top 4, is the main thing to keep an eye on. Iris, after being knocked off circuit in the first 8 minutes, is now running down on DMS Idol. Might take the lead back before they even make their first round of pit stops. If Iris can pull that off, that would be incredible! Firing it down now into the second hairpin. Idol's just a little bit wide. Iris is going to stay in their tire tracks. They fire out the hairpin. Short run now into the hairpin. That'll bring them into Speedway Turn 1. Idol's wide, sliding in the rear of that Jaguar wide. Iris follows suit, trying to maximize the draft. Now Iris has the draft off that Jaguar. So it's Jag, Mazda, and then Aston as your top 3 manufacturers right now. Will Iris try to make a big, bold move going into the bus stop chicane? They're closing in, deep under braking, gets right underneath the rear end of Idol's Jaguar, but is not able to make a move through there. Still right under the rear end of that Jaguar. Now looks to the outside as they go into Speedway Turn 3. Side by side as they go through 3 and 4. Still side by side, and now Iris aborts, falls back in line behind, now goes back to the outside. Idol is going to dive into the pits this time by. Idol pits, and Iris goes back to the lead. In about 10 minutes or less, Iris goes from falling down to 7th all the way to the lead here. I cannot believe what we have just seen from Iris. Idol went ahead and pitted. What happened to the Aston of Lazy Ark? He's already fallen behind Doyle, apparently. Also, Lyric Envy has gone ahead and jumped into the pits along with DMS Idol as pit stops are now beginning about 19 minutes in. Oh, and Lazy Ark spins! Lazy Ark is around! He gets back going. No damage, but those tires are cooking. He has a little bit of engine damage as well. Lazy Ark's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. So now Calco in the Porsche that won back in Stint 1. He's back up into the 3rd position. It's been absolute chaos and madness early on here. Your leader in the bottom category is still LMP Dragon by a massive margin over Most Stretch. Iris is your leader in the top category. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to try and find someone I can actually ride on board with for a bit. Well, honestly, I'm not too worried about it. We're going to go ahead and focus on the drivers who have already pitted. We're going to have to take a Twitch-mandated ad break. I apologize. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona as we are in the middle of green flag stops. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Daytona. Your leader is Calco, who's gone a little bit farther on his tires than everyone else, so the leads will likely be transferred back to Idle and Iris. This here is Lyric NV, who's running round in the 7th position, so in the bottom half of the top category right now. I believe they may have put on a harder set of tires right now for this stint at the moment. This car has been up and down the grid, but has not been able to bring home the podium result that we feel it should have done by now. Meanwhile, Iris stole the lead from Idle, but then by virtue of pitting earlier, Idle was able to put down some fantastic laps, and now Idle is back ahead of Iris. Not by a massive amount, but suddenly the DMS entry, this car finally starting to show some speed again. As they're navigating around some of the traffic, as the bottom category is now starting to spread out here on track. Idle leads over Iris. Doyle is in the highest that we have seen this number 91 been all day on pace. They are running in the 3rd position. I also want to go ahead and mention Pope Leopard here. I'm sorry, not Pope Leopard, Pop Leopard. I like the idea of calling him Pope Leopard, but Pop Leopard, we believe they are still committing to the 3-stop strategy on this number 123 machine. So they'll probably stay out here for about another, 2, maybe 3 laps before jumping in to make their first stop. LMP Dragon making their stop. Most Stretch making their stop. What about DMS Sleepy? Does he stay out or does he come in? He's coming in. What of BFL Cyber? Does he stay out or does he come in? He's coming in as well. So all of our GTO drivers pitting about 23.5 minutes into the first stint. So everyone in the bottom category is on the same strategy right now. Could we see an event where everyone in the bottom category goes 4 pit stops? And if that ends up being the case, we could actually end up having, a little bit later on, a legitimate race for a position in the GTO category. We'll keep an eye on that as this goes on. Moki has already made their pit stop. They pit a little bit earlier than Dragon and Stretch. They're still behind Stretch and Dragon after those pit stops are done. DMS Idle is maintaining a pretty solid gap over Iris. Then you have Doyle with AMS Bread just a little bit behind. Bread had a little bit of an issue early on at the start of this, but seems to have recovered just a bit. Already up into the 4th spot. Calco, after pit stops, has gone back to 5th, but he has now got slightly fresher tires than everyone else here on track. Being really held up there by Stretch. And finally, Bread gets by. Doyle sees Iris up the road just a little bit real quickly, looking at the tires for everybody. Remember, Idle was one of the first drivers to make the first pit stop. He's already at 27% on the tire life. Iris, who runs in 2nd position, is currently at 13% on the tire life, but I think Iris may be running a harder tire compound. Not a guarantee, but I think Iris is running a harder tire compound. The 4-stop strategy has been the dominant strategy in prototypes. The 3-stop strategy has been the dominant strategy in GTOs. But right now, it's really iffy, but either everyone except Loki is on the 3-stop strategy, or everyone in the GTO category is on the 4-stop strategy. It's a little bit hard to tell right now. We'll get you more information on that as this goes on. Idle, Iris, Doyle, and Bread, 1, 2, 3, 4, with Calco a little bit farther back in 5th. Basically every other position on track is pretty much spread out, but Stretch is running in 2nd and can see that Audi right there of Dragon. That is the one he's... Oh! And the Audi gets knocked wide there by Calco. This could be what Stretch needs. Stretch, he's not fighting the driver we normally see him going up against, but Stretch is maybe making a run for the lead again. AFMG Vorm already making their 2nd pit stop. Oh, the Audi's wide! And the Audi's off! A self-inflicted mistake, and Dragon goes off! And Stretch goes into the lead! Dragon, a self-inflicted mistake in the 2nd hairpin, and the Audi that has won 2 stints already now falls to 2nd place behind Stretch. Meanwhile, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Iris, Doyle, and Bread, all just close enough to see each other, but not yet close enough to really fight with each other. And most of the other positions seem to be mostly resolved, although Lazy Arc does seem to be closing down on Calco. I believe Calco is running a slightly harder tire, potentially, than what Lazy Arc is running on right now. Well, must not be that much harder. But it does seem like Lazy Ark is running down on Calco. Then you have Lyric NV still running around here in the 7th position. Then you have 8th place Tank Waterbox with 9th place Figgy Boy right behind. This is the first real fight for position here on track. These cars have had some great finishes, but right now they're way lower than where they normally would be, and they make contact, and that's a GTO that's up, and they're both hard in the tire barriers, and that was Stretch, that was our leader, and GTO Stretch has been involved in an accident with one of the prototypes. Stretch finally gets going, but that car is destroyed. Everything about that car is destroyed. Tank Waterbox, who was the one that went off with them, the car is similarly destroyed. The prototype tried going too aggressively around the outside, couldn't make it stick. They made contact, got a little bit of force glue, and they both went deep into the tire barrier. Both of them will be able to continue. But this puts LMP Dragon back on top here by a massive margin. Well, not a massive margin, but by a pretty respectable margin over TBR Moki. Now the question is going to be, is Dragon on a 3-stop strategy or a 4-stop strategy? If they're on a 3-stop strategy, there's no way that Dragon gets caught by Moki. If there's on a 4-stop strategy, Moki might still be able to reel Dragon in, and we could still end up having a fight here. But Stretch, I guarantee you, is going to be absolutely furious. He was leading, and then a fight in the midfield for the prototypes sent him and one of the prototypes deep into the tire barriers. Catastrophe. All right, meanwhile, Lazy Ark still trying to run down on Calco. Vorm and Pop Leopard seem to be on top of each other for 10th and 11th position, although they'll jump ahead of Tank Waterbox. Waterbox has to pit now. Here comes Vorm to the outs. Yeah, here comes Vorm to the outside. Not willing to dive too deep in there. Mind you, Vorm was involved in a little bit of an incident earlier. They've already made 2 pit stops. They're basically trying to dig themselves out of a hole right now. So things seem to be calming down. I hope calming down just a little bit. We go ahead and ride on board with Lazy Ark as he is closing in on Calco here in this Porsche. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona as we ride on board with this Aston Martin for a flying lap here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. Iris has taken the lead after DMS Idol has gone ahead and made a stop. Oh, that's one of the GTOs that's just gone off there. It looked like Cyber had gone off there going into the hairpin, but I think we may have missed it. Iris is taking over the lead after we have seen the MS Idol make their second stop. Also, thank you, Riddle U, for the support. So Iris up to the lead once again. Doyle has cycled up into the second spot, the highest we have seen this car all day long. Today, this 6th stint seems to be the one where the 91 machine is performing. Brad is in third, but starting to bleed off a little bit of time. I think the tire wear is really getting to them right now. I imagine we're going to see Iris and Doyle pit. Well, Iris is on a harder tire compound, so it's going to be a while until they make their next stop. I think Iris is on the traditional 4-stop. I think Brad's running a 5-stop again. I think Doyle is likely running a 4-stop as well. Calco's going to be a little bit interesting to see, as now, once again, they are side by side with that Aston. But harder tires on this Porsche. Lazy Arc in this Aston. I think they're going to have to pit in about 3 to 4 laps. But this has been a pretty interesting battle going back and forth for the 4th and 5th position. A little bit of contact between the two of them coming out of the hairpin there. Still side by side. This has been... Oh, wait, that was Iris! Iris has had an incident! Iris has gone off! Doyle goes to the lead. What's happened to Iris? The car is destroyed. We missed it, but Iris has had a catastrophic accident! The car that finished second in stints 3 and 4, won stint 5 in dominating fashion, has now had an accident! Suddenly, the leader is Doyle! As now this stint is now the one that is going through multiple twists and turns! Doyle to the lead! And they're the one now leading on the ideal 4-stop strategy here. Yeah, we're only 35 minutes into this stint. AMS Brad gonna jump out of second spot now, so that will move Lazy Arc and Calco's little fight farther up the road. Actually, Calco is legitimately losing ground to Lazy Arc, because Calco is just struggling with those burnt out tires. He's got this massive run in the straightaways, but just cannot keep the car under him very well in the corners. But again, I think Calco is just trying to run a normal 4-stop strategy, or something very close to a 4-stop strategy. He's willing to sacrifice the pace right now, I imagine. But Brett and Iris both pitting. Iris has gone off circuit twice now. This is not the first time. Earlier, in an earlier stint, Iris had 2 different self-inflicted spins. Now, I didn't catch the second instant from Iris here, but the first instant was not their fault. They were knocked off by Jerluki. But now, 2 different instants, and Iris now is going to be knocked into an alternate strategy, I would imagine. So now it is Doyle in the lead by a decent margin over Lazy Arc and Calco, who are having their own little fight for position here. Figgy Boy has suddenly bubbled his way back up into the 4th position, just a little bit ahead of LMAG Lyric NV. So everyone in our prototypes, except for our top 5, have made their second stops. But Doyle is on a long run on this set of tires. Lazy Arc, though, will have to pit sooner rather than later. He's already at 51.2% wear on that right rear. Calco's going to be staying out for a bit. Figgy Boy, I imagine, is going to be staying out for not a lot longer, but a little bit longer. He's only at 47.6% tire wear. And then Lyric NV here, Ryan in 5th, is at 50.7. But I think Doyle just has Doyle and to a lesser extent Calco just have a gigantic strategy advantage over the rest of the run here. Oh, was that Vorm? Yeah, that's Vorm. No, that's not Vorm. Who is that? Is that Bread? I can tell I'm starting to get tired because I'm starting to have troubles telling who is who. I apologize. Who was that? Was it Figgy Boy? It was Figgy Boy. So Figgy Boy is the one who went wide there. He has a little bit more engine damage now, and the tires are burning up. Joyle, Lazy Art, Calco. But again, we're expecting at least 3 of our top 5 to be pitting at the end of this lap or next lap here. DMS Idol is leading on the other strategy right now. All right, at 18%, so I imagine they're going to be going on these tires for quite some time. And the thing for Idol is that he can see Lyric and V and Figgy Boy just up the road from him, as those two are side by side there for those positions. Oh, and there's Lyric. He went the long way around Figgy Boy and then jumped into the pits. So Lyric pits now. When does Figgy Boy pit? When does Lazy Arc pit? We anticipate that Joyle and Calco will be staying out for a little bit longer. Calco and Lazy Arc still on top of each other now as Lazy Arc's tires are going away. Calco gets back by using the sheer speed in that Porsche. So Calco brings the Porsche up to second. Oh, but misses the apex there in the bus stop chicane, and Lazy Arc goes right back by Calco. Mind you, Calco is dealing with some tire fall off as well now. Lazy Arc's is so much worse. I'm honestly shocked that Lazy Arc is pushing his tires this far. And they're both going to stay out for another lap. Well, Joyle, how much longer is Joyle going to stay out on his own tires, which are definitely wearing out? Well, he's only got 4.5% left in the fuel tank. He'll have to pit at the end of this lap. He will not be able to go another lap after this one. DMS Idol has caught Figgy Boy. What can the Jaguar do to move up one more spot? Reminder, Idol is the highest of all the drivers that have done 2 stops already. The first, second, third, and fourth all have yet to make their stop. They've all gone a little bit longer than I anticipated they would have. Well, here comes the run on that outside from that DMS team. Trying. Still not there. Does he go deep under braking into hairpin? Not deep enough to get under the rear wing, but I don't think he touched him. Oh, maybe he did touch him. The boys' machine is wide, and Idol is by. And we're likely going to see our top 3, along with 5th place Figgy Boy, pitting at the end of this lap here. EM1 Joyle into the pits now. So our leader finally makes a stop. For Calco and Lazy Arc, surely they both pit this time by. No, Calco stays out a little longer, but Lazy Arc will finally pit. So Calco will go into the lead. He'll be our 4th, 5th different leader, something like that. My brain is definitely starting to burn out, and I do apologize for that. Man, and I was asked to cover a NASCAR race right after this stint as well. DMS Idol up to second now. So Idol is still well clear of Iris after Iris's accident. So it looks like now it might be Calco versus DMS Idol versus PM1 Joyle, as those 3 are all on different strategies. Although Joyle's strategy is not massively different from Calco's, I imagine Calco's going to pit either at the end of this lap or the end of the lap. No, it's going to have to be at the end of this lap. There's not a lot of fuel left in that car. So Calco going about 42, almost 43 minutes on 2 pit stops. So they're able to go about 20 minutes without too much issue here. And they're actually pushing a very slight tire advantage over the other drivers doing this. Hank Waterbox pitting back there will drop him out of the top 10, I imagine. So we're going to see DMS Idol take the lead back momentarily here. Farther back, this is Lil Rick in V. Had a good run earlier, but it all kind of fell apart. But now, Lil Rick is 7th on circuit. is kind of midfield, hasn't really had the sheer ridiculous pace that we were anticipating compared to what he had done earlier. All right. In the bottom category, it is still LMP Dragon over TBR Moki. Real quickly, looking at the tire life and fuel numbers, 55.3% here for Dragon. For Moki, he is at 53.4. But Moki is a lot lower on the fuel numbers. Dragon, I feel, can confidently make this a 3-stop strategy if he just does a little lift and coast. I do not have confidence in Moki making this a 3-stop race. So that accident that Mostresh had with Tank Waterbox is likely going to be what denies us any shot at a proper fight for position here in the bottom category. Unless Dragon gets involved in an instant, then it's all bets off. But yeah, seems to me like unless something ridiculous happens to Dragon, he'll be able to walk off by just being the fastest driver of everybody still on the normal 3-stop strategy that has won all of the prior stints in the bottom category. We're going to go ahead and go for a flying lap on board with DMS Idol here at Daytona. Give you an idea what a flying lap looks like in this Jag that has been struggling today but is now flying at night. We'll be back momentarily here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here at Daytona as we are following DMS Idol here. Has just cleared TBR Moki and BFL Cyber. Now we see LMP Dragon going ahead and making their second stop. They will be joined by both DMS Sleepy and BFL Cyber here. So everyone will have made their second stop at this stage of the event. DMS Idol is your leader. PM1 Doyle is second. AMS Bread is in third, but Bread, we believe, is on another 5-stop strategy right now, so they'll likely be pitting sooner rather than later. Calco runs fourth in this Porsche, and then fifth place goes to Lazy Arc. We are almost halfway through Stint 6 here. Oh, well, that's off circuit there. That was the 10th place car. That was Vorm, who has gone into the barriers, and that car has a significant amount of damage. The engine is still working, so they'll be able to rush around with a moderate amount of speed, but Vorm, the AFMG car, has had some good results earlier, but it's not coming for them right now. Still about half a lap ahead of Pop Leopard, so it's not like it's going to really upset the overall order right now. DMS Idol is your leader, has been gradually opening the gap between himself and Doyle, but again, Idol will have to pit sooner rather than later. In fact, he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap because he is just about out of fuel, and that will hand the lead back over to Doyle, who's running in second position right now. Will still be out on track for quite a bit longer. Then you have AMS Bread here, who is not going to be paying this lap, I imagine, but will have to pit sooner rather than later because his tires are burning up. And then even farther back from that is Calco, who's trying to keep Lazy Arc behind. Calco and Lazy Arc has been going back and forth for their positions for a while. But Calco has the long-term tire advantage. Lazy Arc has the, well, they're actually pretty easy, even on tires. 31% right now for Lazy Arc. For Calco, his tires are at 24%. So Calco has a tire advantage, but it's not a gigantic one. So about 50 minutes left in this stint. A little bit of twitching there. It looks like the Aston still is able to put a lot of pressure on this Porsche. Lazy Arc has really brought this Aston to life. And Calco, similarly, seems to be the only driver who's able to maintain pace on the harder compound tires in the Porsche. We've seen other drivers do some good runs in that Porsche, but it's almost only when they're on the softer tires, when the grip is right there. Oh, Lazy Arc had a bit of a hiccup there, going through the bus stop chicane, as bled off a huge chunk of time in the process. And now there's engine damage on that car as well. DMS Idol way back here in fifth, but he is not that far ahead of Iris at the moment. Mind you, though, Idol has already made a third stop. Iris has only done two, but Iris had that big accident earlier, so Iris has had to upend their initial strategy to compromise for the fact they had that accident earlier. Real quick, we look back at the bottom category. LMP Dragon is your leader in this Audi. Only 2 entrants have won in the bottom category right now. Moki runs in second place, but Moki has been running at a bit of a fuel and tire disadvantage to Dragon. I do not have confidence in Moki's ability to make this a 3-stop race. Dragon, I think, has a legitimate shot at making this a 3-stop race. And another driver has had an incident there. That is Stretch, who has had an incident here in the bus stop chicane. And he's out of fuel. It's gone from bad to worse for Stretch, as he is completely out of fuel right now, just trying to limp it around. So in Stint 1, he went to the lead with a fantastic move around the outside, but was not able to finish, dropping out only 15 or so minutes into the run. In Stint 2, 3, 4, he was not in it. In Stint 5, though, Stretch jumped back in and came home with a second place result, but was on the wrong strategy. And now here in Stint 6, Stretch has completely run out of fuel. I don't know if he's going to try and limp it into the pits or if he's going to back out altogether here. But any run that this car had of winning a stint in the first half of the day today is over. It's gone. Yeah, and he's come to a stop. I think that's over for him. Joyle is your leader. Bread runs in second. Then it is Calco and Lazy Arc who continue their slap fight back and forth. DMS Idol runs in fifth. Idol, I think it's going to, the way it's going, I think it's going to be Idol versus Joyle with an outside shot by Calco and an outside shot by Bread. But I think it was really just Joyle versus Idol right now. How much longer is Joyle going to stay out here? Well, they've got a little bit of fuel. They still got 40% on the tires. Bread runs a little bit farther back in second position. It's actually gone a lot farther than I anticipated, but they will have to pit at the end of this lap. All right. Oh, someone just dropped out. Oh, no. Yeah, Stretch has pulled out. We're going to try and reach out to Stretch, see if he wants to say anything about this frustration. Oh my God, are you serious? The invite failed. All right, so Joyle leads. Calco runs in second now after Bread has made their stop. Again, I think Bread is on a 5-stop strategy. Joyle, Calco, and Lazy Arc all likely on some variant of a 4-stop here. DMS Idol, I'm not 100% sure. If they are on a 4-stop strategy, they are running their harder tires a little bit later. They may be on a 5-stop. I think they're on a 4-stop, but they have run the faster tires earlier, and they're going to be running the harder tires later right now. Right now, Idol's about half a lap behind Joyle. And that is another car slow. That is Pop Leopard. Something has gone wrong here. That car has spun up the circuit. It's stopped on track. Get off circuit. Whatever has gone wrong, it's gone terribly wrong for Pop Leopard. I'm guessing they may have had a spin out of the bus stop chicane, but I'm not sure what's going on here. Either way, this number 1, 2, 3 car, which has been running alternate strategies most of the time, under Pop Leopard's hands, it's just all gone bad, all gone very sour here. Lyric now pitting out of the 7th position at this point as they duck it into the pits. Coming out. All right, so that would be their 3rd stop. All right, coming into the party right now is Stretch. Stretch, go ahead and include your audio. Frustrating to have to talk to you just halfway through this stint. Walk us through that stint from your perspective.
Works all the way through the pack well. He's up there in the lead. I don't know what they were thinking there. Got tangled up. Unfortunate situation. Got back into a fighting chance. And Forza with the fuel. That's about all I got to say about it.
Yeah, it seems we know you're obviously one of the faster drivers here, but it just seems like your ability to actually run to the finish has been frustrating. I do want to ask real quickly, who's going to jump into that car for Stint 7?
It was originally Colin, however, it might be switching to Adams.
All right, so I won't be streaming Stint 7, but anyone who does end up watching that, whether through someone else's broadcast or someone's personal stream, keep an eye on those drivers then. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Stretch. It's a shame to have to talk to you this early, but we appreciate hearing what you have to say.
Yep, have a good night.
All right, so your leader is still Joyle. Calco is not really closing on Joyle with any significant speed, as Calco has been spending a lot of time fighting with Lazy Arc. And then DMS Idol is continuing to lead on that earlier stint. So yeah, look, Colin is saying in the chat that he is still going to be the one running Stint 7 here. So we're keeping that in mind. Idol now gets by one of the Audis there. And that's another car that has come. Is that Leopard again? Yes, Leopard has had another instant, this time in the second infield hairpin, but has finally got rolling again. They are basically dead locked in to last in category. Joyle coming up on some traffic here. They're gonna have to pit at the end of this lap, but they will go ahead and put Tank Waterbox a lap down now. Same kind of car here. Both of these are Mazdas. So if Joyle's paying at the end of this lap, what of Calco? Calco could either pit at the end of this lap. There's an off chance that Calco could go another lap. I don't know if he'd want to, but there is an off chance he could go another lap. But Calco is still basically on the same strategy as Joyle, but the gap between them is so big that realistically, I don't think Calco has any shot at Joyle unless Joyle has some sort of incident. And considering how this race has gone for most of the stints, that is definitely a possibility. Lazy Arc runs just a little bit behind Calco, but Arc has much, much heavier worn tires. He's got better fuel, but much, much worn tires and just cannot keep up with Calco, it seems. And then you have DMS Idol here, who is leading on this alternate strategy. Again, I'm not sure if Idol is going to be making it a 5-stop run. I think Idol is likely going for a 5-stop strategy. Because with 40 minutes, well, 39 and a half minutes left, he's already at 49% fuel. I see no way that he could make his final stop now. I think Idol is running on a 5-stop strategy, similar to what AMS Bread is running. I imagine when Idol does pit, you're going to throw on medium tires and then throw on softs a little bit later in the run to try and just burn down the Nicotina more to catch Joyle here. As Joyle has come into the pits, Calco is going to stay out one more lap. I'm assuming that Calco, with 3.5%, will have enough fuel and limp it into the pits. Lazy Arc pitted as well, so did Figgy Boy. So outside of Calco, now everyone in the top category has made their third stop, at least. Vorm has made 4 at this stage of the event. LMP Dragon still leads in the GTO category, but they have a track position advantage and a tire and fuel advantage over TBR Moki. Moki is in the car that won stints 1, 2, and 5. Dragon is in the car that won stint 3 and 4. These are really the two entrants that are properly fighting with each other for the overall win. 44% left in the tires for Dragon, with about 23% in the fuel. For Moki, who's been playing about a lap or two earlier, he's at 43% in the tires, 15% in the fuel. So Moki has been better on tire management, but he's pitting so much earlier that it's not really giving him a massive advantage. Tank Waterbox coming in for what is, I believe, their 5th pit stop now already. Remember, Tank was involved in that big accident with Most Stretch in turn 1, earlier in the event. All right, Calco and DMS Idol have both pitted at the same time, so I feel like this all but confirms that Idol is on a 5-stop strategy. There is no tire compound that will let you go 37 minutes to the end. So DMS Idol is on a 5-stop strategy here. Calco is on a 4-stop, I believe. And Joyle, is he going to get back into the lead here? They'll go around Idol and Calco in the pits. Yes, Joyle goes back into the lead by a pretty significant margin over both Calco and Idol. In fact, Idol is going to be almost right on top of Calco as they come out of pit lane. AMS Bread's going to be the interesting one because I believe AMS Bread is also on a 5-stop strategy. Or maybe not. He's got some decent tires right now. He might be able to run these tires long enough. He might be able to go 4 stops. He may have elected to do the earlier runs on softer tires and now be on harder tires a little bit later in the event here. So things are still a bit up in the air right now. So, Bread, still a ways behind Joyle. Still, I think Bread is on a... He's either on a 4-stop strategy where he's only going to get slower near the end, or he is on a 5-stopper. Calco runs just with Idol right now. Idol to the inside, Calco to the outside, neck and neck. That Porsche has a ridiculous straight-line speed advantage. They're both on brand new spanking tires. Calco has it for now. They fire it off down into the bus stop chicane again. Bit of a hop and skip over the curb on entry there for Idol. Calco's wide, coming out. Here comes Idol to the inside, neck and neck for a 3rd position again. But there's traffic. Is there going to be room? There is just enough room for them to get by. Still side by side they go. Calco gets the run off the banking though, and now starts opening the gap between himself and Idol. You see Vorn paying back there out of the 10th position, so that'll be their 5th pit stop today. And now through the twisties, this is typically where Calco gets a bit better. And here's Lazy Arc, who has been fighting off and on with Calco throughout the run. Now Calco has a little bit more worn tires, but he has legitimately been, Lazy Arc has slightly more worn tires, but he has legitimately been a fantastic performer throughout the run today. On board with Lazy Arc as he looks ahead to Calco and DMS Idol. Porsche's wide, coming onto Speedway Turn 1, and that's going to let Idol get by Calco here, but Calco's got the draft. Now he goes back to the inside, should be clear of Idol, and now Lazy Arc is going to get a draft off of Idol as they go down the back straightaway. They fire it off into the bus stop chicane again. The Aston goes deep. They made a little bit of contact, and the Aston slides off and gets it back on circuit without losing too much time. Idol is gone, though. Idol did not really suffer from that whatsoever. That was all Lazy Arc, who basically took all the negative hits from that. So Idol really struggling to get by Calco, but it may not matter. Idol is on an alternate strategy. The big thing is Idol is going to need to figure out a way to get to Joyle, because Idol and Joyle both have 1 stop left, we predict. 34 minutes left here at Daytona. In the bottom category, Moki has just gone ahead and made their stop, but Dragon is still out on circuit right now. Dragon has led the majority of this stint here. Not all of it. Most stretch did get by him at one point and was actually opening up a gap before being involved in the accident. But Dragon has been the dominant factor. This car has won 2 stints earlier, trying to go for a 3rd stint win here in the C line. Dragon pinning at the end of this lap? That's going to be the big question here. I think he could probably stay out for another lap or 2 if he so chooses. So we're going to go ahead with about 32 minutes left, we are going to go ahead and ride on board for a flying lap with your leader in the bottom category, LMP Dragon. And when we come back, we may begin to see some of our top drivers making their second to last stop if they've not already made it. We'll be back momentarily here at Daytona. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. Just a bit over 30 minutes left in this stint. Doyle leads. AMS Bread runs in second. Calco is third. DMS Idol is fourth. Lazy Arc is fifth. And then a little bit further back in sixth is Iris. Bread, we think, is either going for a four-stop strategy but is already committing to running harder tires, or Bread is on a five-stop. I think with the way this is looking, I think Bread is likely going to stay out for only one or two more laps. Then we'll jump in the pits and throw on some hard tires and bet on not needing to pit again to bring home a good result. Calco, who runs just a little bit behind, is also on a four-stop strategy, but they are on one of their harder tire compounds right now. They'll likely be throwing on mediums a bit later. So right now, Bread is maintaining a pretty solid gap over Calco. Then farther back is Idol, who is in fourth. Idol, we believe, also has yet to make one more stop today. But we don't know when that final stop is going to be, or if they're going to throw on medium tires or soft tires. Doyle is your leader. We are just about guaranteed that he is on a four-stop strategy and will likely pit with about 20 minutes left, so probably in about 9 minutes or so. Oh, made contact there with one of the lap cars, one of the bottom category cars. Actually, that's Moki, isn't it? Yeah, that's Moki. That's second place in bottom category. I mean, this isn't the worst thing ever, but that's not going to help Doyle by any means. Dragon is pitting. Why is Dragon pitting already? Why is this the final stop? Are they good? Yes, it is. This is going to be their final stop. They're paying with 29 minutes left in the stint, roughly. So Dragon will not have to pit again today. They'll put in a full fuel tank, brand new hard tires, and run that Audi to the end. Moki has already made his third stop, but is committing to a four-stop strategy. So once again, the three-stop strategy is keen. The big thing for Moki is that there's a legitimate shot that DNS Hunter, who runs a little bit behind, is going to nip Moki off the back of making this his own final stop, a four-stop at a better part of the track, but he is still locked into a four-stop strategy. This is DMS Sleepy, who is a little bit farther back in the Audi. Sleepy has already made their third stop and is definitely locked into a fourth stop as well. So no, I think I'm right. I think Moki is going to come home second. That's going to be a very long way behind LMP Dragon, because Dragon now does not have to pit again. Calco has DMS Idle coming up again. Mind you, Idle and Calco made their last pit stop at the same point. So there's not a ridiculous tire difference between the two of them. But Calco has been gradually pulling away from Idle. Thing is, though, that Idle is in a car that has a little bit better balance, has been able to manage the tires better. Calco is in a car that is much better at fighting and absolutely lightning fast into straightaways. I think there's a possibility we see Idle run back down on Calco. The big problem, though, is that if Idle and Calco keep spending way too much time fighting with each other, we will be in a scenario... Oh, a little bit of contact there between the leader in bottom category, Dragon, and Idle. But we could be in a scenario where Idle catches Calco right before the two of them make their final stop. 27 minutes left. If you made a pit stop now, you could throw on the hard tires and not worry about pitting again. And the reason I mention that is I'm looking at this driver here, AMS Bread, with a little less than 27 minutes left. If he stays out here for another 30 seconds, he'd have about 25 and a half minutes left. Could jump into the pits, come out with about 24 and a half minutes left. Could throw on the hard tires and not worry about pitting again, as long as he remembers to put enough fuel in the car. Thing is, Bread has been losing ground to Joyle. So I think Joyle is basically in a position where, unless something crazy happens, this car, which has not been on the podium once today, might pull off a victory. That would be our 5th different team win out of the 6 stints that we have had here in our top category. It has been absolutely wild in here. So when does Bread pit? And when Bread pits, how far is that going to put him behind Calco? Well, Calco's right there. He's caught Bread. Yeah, Bread's now actually falling behind Calco. So this ain't going to go very well for him. And Idle is losing touch on both of them now, gradually. Calco might be able to pull off another podium result for that Porsche. I don't think Calco has the speed to run down Doyle before the end of this, but Calco might be able to pull off a top 3 result with the way this is going here. 25 minutes left. So Calco's tire life right now is 39.1%. Joyle's tire life right now is 43.5%. So that's about a 2-lap advantage in Calco's favor. Maybe only a 1-lap advantage, because again, Calco in that Porsche burns through his tires so much faster than Joyle. And if Idle has to pit at the same time as Calco, I see no way that Joyle loses this. I think Joyle has this in the bag. Iris could be the interesting one, because Iris is hanging out just a little bit behind Lazy Ark and Idle, but Iris, due to the accident that they had earlier that damaged the car, they have been forced onto an alternate strategy. With about 24 minutes left, if they can stay out for about another 2, maybe 3 laps, they could probably put on medium tires and go to the end on a adjusted 4-stop strategy. It would not be ideal, but it would be a bit of a recovery drive. They're about, what, 40% of a lap? Maybe 33% of a lap, somewhere in there behind Joyle. If Iris can make that stick, potentially they would not have to worry about losing the overall lead for their team. Again, this team came home 2nd in Stint 3, 2nd in Stint 4, 1 Stint 5 by a gigantic margin. Another top 5 result here could still be enough to keep the HYR team at the front out of everyone here. Real quickly, we're going to look at the bottom category split. LMP Dragon all but guaranteed to win because he will not have to pit. Again, he has enough fuel to go to the end. Moki, who runs in 2nd position, just a little bit behind Dragon, is guaranteed he will need to pit one more time before the stint is over. He's not going to fall off the lead lap, but he is guaranteed that he will need to make another stop. The DMS Hunter, who runs a lot farther back from those two, he also will have to make one more stop before this is over. He also has a little bit of engine damage as well. So only 2 teams have won in the GTO class, and it looks like it's going to be a continuation of that. Lyric NV has gone ahead and made a stop now. That is their fourth stop, likely their final stop, I imagine. How much fuel did they put in? 70%. It'll be a little bit tight, but I think that will be it for the Lyric. They might not have to pit again to the end here. Iris is running down on Lazy Arc, and Calco is legitimately pulled away from Idle here. So we're likely going to see the final round of pit stops almost any time now. So we're going to go ahead and ride on board with... Oh, Moki's gotten by Dragon here. And now, Dragon coming back on the outside of Moki. Neck and neck between these two. But again, this is more of just mano-y-mano, fighting because they can. Dragon is guaranteed to win because he will not have to pit again. Moki will have to pit a fourth time. But Moki is leading. This car has led in, I believe, 5 out of the 6 stints that we have had thus far today. So it does seem like Moki is in the overall best car, but I hate to say it, Moki has not been the best driver in that car. His teammate, who has won 3 prior stints, is probably the better driver of the two. Well, at least when it comes to strategizing. When it comes to mano-y-mano fighting, it's a little bit harder to tell. But when it comes to strategizing, Moki has just not been able to make the strats work out for him. Iris paying out 5th position with about 21 minutes left now. All right, Yoil and Idle are making their final stops. Calco staying out a little bit longer. So Calco is going to not have to worry about as much tire fall off when they finally make their final stop here. Now Calco's starting to put drivers a lap down, but he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. Doyle is about a quarter of a lap behind him, maybe a little less than that, and will likely inherit the lead back from Calco. All right, Calco's in the pits now. Doyle coming up around Speedway Turn 4. Calco is now starting to move down pit lane. And Doyle goes back to the lead. This car, Justunku, is not a racer. Justunku is just in a other car because he was just here to set up everything. He's in a non-competing race car and has just been parked in pit lane the entire time. So, yeah, don't worry about Justunku. He is not a competitor in this event. Doyle holding on to first. Calco is second still. The gap still pretty big in Doyle's favor, and while Calco will have a tire advantage to the end, I think Doyle is going to be good. 53% left in the tank with 16 and a half minutes to go. I see no way that Doyle loses this here. But the thing is, Calco and Idle are still going at it here. These two are basically on the exact same tire strats right now. Granted, Idle has made an extra pit stop, but these two are basically even on track now. You have to wonder if Idle committed to the same strat that Doyle was on, would he be able to fight with Doyle? Brett is a little bit farther back in the 4th spot right now, but we believe that Brett has committed to a hard tire compound. No, they're not. I'll take that back. Brett may have to make one more stop here, and that could shunt them behind Iris. Now, Iris is in an interesting position because Iris is fine on tires, fine on fuel. Yeah, Iris might be able to recover to 4th if Brett pits like we're anticipating him to. Meanwhile, in the GTO category, TBR Moki and LMP Dragon continue to fight at the head of the grid. Moki leads, but it's all almost for naught, as Moki is guaranteed another stop, and Dragon, the driver he is fighting with, will not have to stop to the end here. Dragon gets back underneath the Merker, but the Merker will have the straight line speed advantage. Easy overtake by Moki as he clears the Audi before they even get onto the back straightaway proper. But under braking, going through the bus stop chicane, you'll see Dragon close right back in by virtue of that all-wheel drive system that the Audi has. The car is completely sideways coming out, and look at how much it closes right back in. We'll get right underneath the draft of Moki again. The Dragon does not have the top end, even with the draft, just does not have the top end to really do anything. And the gap starts opening up once more. DMS Hunter now pitting out of 3rd spot in the GTO category. And again, look at how much Moki in that Audi closes. Dragon trying to hold a nice, stable inside line. Here comes Moki again, though. Still leading. Dragon's trying to make something happen to the inside. That is your leader in Prototype. That is Doyle trying to get around this duo now. Is there room? He'll make room, forces his way by Moki there. And now Moki has Dragon right behind him all over again. Moki is wide, and Dragon goes back to the lead as they come out of the second infield hairpin. But again, Moki close enough to Dragon. He'll have more than enough speed and draft to likely get back alongside the Audi, if not clear the Audi, by the bus stop chicane. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we will be with this race to the end here. 13 and a half minutes to go for Stint 6 at Daytona. Oh. Dragon off circuit there. And here comes the prototypes, and that's one of them just ran to the back of Moki. Is Moki still good? Will he be able to continue? Did he take any damage from that? No sign of any damage. They'll have to pit shortly anyway. DMS Idol has gotten by Calco now, though. Remember, Idol and Calco are basically on the same tire strats to the end here. This is AMS Red even farther back, just barely ahead of HYR Iris right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Daytona. Calco trying to close back in on Idol as time is ticking away. DMS Idol looks like is going to be a fight between himself and Calco for bottom 2 steps on the podium. Joyle is maintaining a fantastic gap over the rest of the field right now. In the bottom category, it is Dragon who leads over Moki, and Moki has to pit sooner rather than later. Fuel is almost out in that car. He's down to just 4.9%, and this is it. Moki finally makes the final stop of his run. He should be far enough ahead of DMS Hunter to maintain second, but Dragon will win. And unless this Audi ends up in an accident with 11 minutes left, it is going to be a massive, fantastic victory here. 3 stint wins in the first 6 stints for this Audi. I look at AMS Bread again. With about 10.5 minutes left, he's only got 18% in the fuel tank. There is no way that Bread makes it to the end on what he has now. He should probably pit now, throw on some soft tires, and just go wild to the end. 5-stop strategy has just not worked out in his favor. That would be a bit of a, not a great result, but a respectable return to form for Iris after 2 accidents early. Looks like they're going to be able to pull off a 4th place result here. Looking real quickly between Idol and Calco just to make sure these two have the fuel to make it to the end. 41% for Idol. He'll easily make it. For Calco, he is at 41% as well. So yeah, Idol and Calco are definitely going to make it to the end on fuel. There's no worry about that. Lazy Art runs in 6th. They might be able to pull off a 5th once Bread makes a stop. He's got 35% fuel. Tires aren't looking great, but I think he's going to get it. Bread now falls behind Iris as his own tires are really starting to fall off now. Less than 10 minutes to go here. Vorm making their 7th stop of the day. Somehow, despite having made 7 stops, they are still almost a full lap ahead of Pop Leopard, who is just having a nightmarish of time as well. Tank Waterbox not having a great time either. Really, it's basically 8th and up is basically when you start having drivers who are having legitimate runs that haven't been derailed by accidents or constant spins or something like that. And even then, drivers like Iris has been involved in at least 2 accidents throughout the day today. Real quickly, we look at LMP Dragon, your leader in the bottom category with 8.5 minutes left. He's got 33% in the tank. Now, the tires got quite a bit of wear, but he'll be good to the end. Maintaining almost a full distance pit stop between himself and Moki. And will not have to stop again. So, Dragon, it's not the biggest margin that we see a victory in this category, but he's got this win in the bag, barring an accident. AMS Bread finally paying out the top 5 positions. So that will cycle Lazy Arc up into the 6th position. Figgy Boy, though, so far back, he's not going to be close enough to really capitalize on that. That's Figgy Boy going by our Audi leader in the bottom category right now. Idol now being caught again by Calco bit by bit. Idol is at 35%, 35.5% on the most worn tire. Calco is at 31.7%. Again, Calco did pit about 2 laps after Idle did, so he does have a bit of a tire advantage, but that Porsche burns up the tires really aggressively, so it's not really an advantage that he can really push. They've got Tank Waterbox right behind, who is 9th a lap down right now. He is not really in a position to fight with these drivers for position, being an entire lap behind at the moment. Watching this as it runs down. Less than 7 minutes to go. Calco with the sheer straight line speed blows by DMS Idle going into turn 1. But you can see Idle get the bumper right to Calco and forces Calco wide. Idle back in front of Calco now. For Waterbox, this has got to be frustrating because Waterbox does seem to be faster than this duo right now. Waterbox would probably be around these guys' pace or just a little bit behind them, if not for that big accident they had earlier with Most Stretch, which has been what trapped them a lap down. So Idle now starting to open up the gap on Calco, but they're about to come into the oval section once again. Inside line. That's the lap car, Tank Waterbox. Calco's got to be so bloody frustrated having to deal with lap traffic like that, because that's going to let Idle open up a bit of a gap, because Calco has to run a slightly less ideal line. He's going to have to deal with that Mazda right behind him to the end here. Oh, contact between the two of them. Again, that is a lapped car, but it's a lapped car that is faster than these drivers fighting on the lead lap right now. It's not, oh, slower traffic, move out of the way. Oh, and here we are. Tank Waterbox pulls out now. So with a little less than 5.5 minutes left, now Calco will have cleaner air to try and run down Idle. After making the extra stop, Brett is all the way back at 6th, way behind 5th place. He's just trying to set some fast laps to minimize the amount of time lost from having to make that extra pit stop. This is the first time that no one in the top category has made 3 stops. Everyone has made 4 more stops in this stint. Vorm has had to do 7, Tank Waterbox 6, Pop Leopard 4. Well, Leopard has also had like at least two different spins. A little bit of traffic, but it'll take outside lane there. And don't look now, but HYR Iris in this Mazda is starting to run down on Calco and Idle as well. A little less than 4.5 minutes left here. Contact, and that's one of the Merkers. Knocked off the ideal line. That was 2nd place Moki, it looked like. And Idle has broken away from Calco. Now, mind you, Idle will have to deal with some tire fall off here. This is not over yet. He's at 48%. And with a little more than 3 minutes left, he's going to have 2 more full laps to run here. So those tires are only going to get worse. Calco, same thing, but Calco is starting with a better tire number right now. So he can push at a bit of an advantage. And then you have Iris running here in 4th. Iris has a tire disadvantage to the 2 ahead, but yet despite that, Iris is legitimately closing down on those 2 drivers right ahead of them. Lazy Arc is back there in 5th, but not close enough to really do anything to these drivers, although if one of them have a mistake, Arc would likely be close enough to still capitalize and get a top 5 result out of it. Well, a top 4 result out of it, I should say. Brett is nowhere near the top 5 right now. Doyle will continue to just manage his gap and open away from Idle and Calco. Looking at Calco, he's got Iris behind. Iris not quite close enough to get a draft off of the Porsche this time, but Calco is nowhere near close enough to put pressure on Idle this time either. Out of the bus stop chicane, Calco's a little bit closer, but not close enough still. 2.5 minutes left now. Most of the positions have already been decided. Moki is only a little bit clear of DMS Hunter, though. There is a chance that Hunter nips Moki for this spot on track. Less than 2 minutes left. Calco is definitely running down on Idle. Idle is dealing with some tire fall off. Calco's not in a much better position, but it's enough. Oh, but Calco missed the apex there. Calco did not have a good run in that second infield hairpin. And mind you, this is the last time they're going to go around the entire time. If Calco can't catch Idle by the time they get to turn 1, he is not going to be a chance. Idle should be good enough to hold station over Calco to the end here. A little bit of traffic ahead. That is your leader in the bottom category, LMP Dragon. Dragon holds the outside line, won't cause any issue for them. I think Idle is going to be able to hold on to second on this 5-stop strategy. Barring something crazy happening with 62 seconds left. Oh! Is Cyber into the wall there? Cyber is slow, but I think he's just burnt up the tires and running really high to stay out of the way of the lead pack. Iris has fallen off, though, from Calco now. So, yeah, now those tires have gotten too worn out for him. Idle, second. Calco just a little bit behind, but not close enough for Calco to make a move. Unless Idle makes a mistake, it's basically over between the two of them. 25 seconds left. There's going to be another big hairpin here. Mind you, it's not like Calco's tires are in perfect condition. They're wearing out as well. It's an advantage he has, but not a ridiculous one. That twitch, that will likely decide it. Idle comes down now into the hairpin that brings them back into Speedway Turn 1. 60% on that right rear. But as we look at our race leader, 0. And time's up. Over. Plow. And your winner for Stint 6 will be PM1 Doyle. Second place will be DMS Idle. Third place will be Calco, just a little bit behind him. Fourth place, way off, will be HYR Iris. Lazy Arc will come home fifth. Sixth place will be AMS Bread. Seventh place will be Figgy Boy. Eighth will be Elmag Lyric NV. Ninth will be Tank Waterbox. 10th will be AFMG Vorm. 11th will be Pop Leopard. Then you get to your GTO category. Once again, LMP Dragon wins by not making a fourth stop. TBR Moki will come home in a distant second. Third will go to DMS Hunter. Fourth will go to DMS Sleepy. Fifth will go to Cyber. And the two drivers who are not going to be classified at the end will be Most Stretched from the GTO class and Derluki from the Prototype class. We're going to knock out a Twitch ad break, and when we come back, we'll try to get some interviews from some of our top finishers here. All right, coming into the party right now is Calco, our third place finisher. Oh, we just lost Calco. I'll try to get him back in. All right, coming into the party now is Calco. Calco, can you hear me? Yes, your mic is coming through. Have you included your audio in the Xbox party? All right, Calco, it was a pretty solid run to a top 3 result. What do you have to say about your run out there? I do have to ask who's going to be taking over the car in Stint 7, even though we're not able to broadcast Stint 7. All right, well, I hope anyone there will keep an eye on Neil, because that Porsche is showing some incredible straight line speed. Not the greatest in handling, but some pretty solid speed. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Calco. All right, now I want to talk with DMS Idol, who brought it home second in the prototype category. Idol, fantastic recovery drive. We know this car has had some pace, but it's been rough the last few stints. Finally, you bring it home to a second place result. What do you have to say about your run out there, Idol?
Just wish people knew how to drive a little bit more, but otherwise, pretty smooth race. The car doesn't really have top speed, but it makes up for the corners in the infield, and I kind of just used that to my advantage as best I could to bring it back to a P2 like I did in my first 2 stints.
Well, it was a great run out there. Who's going to be taking over that Jag in Stint 7?
That would be Phantom.
All right. Oh, anyone there? Better keep an eye on Phantom. Idol, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Hope you have a good night's sleep.
You as well.
All right, now we want to talk with LMP Dragon, who is going to be your winner in the bottom category. Dragon, that 3-stop strategy is a guaranteed win, it seems. How in the world did you pull that off so smoothly? All right. All right, well, rest well, mate, because you definitely earned that one. All right. We'll see you there, hopefully. Farewell, Dragon. Peace out. And with that in mind, I'll wrap up our broadcast here for Stint 6. I've been called in to cover a different event real quickly. I was not initially anticipated to cover the event, but I'm likely going to be covering that event. But I should be back tomorrow in the early morning to do the Stint 12 finale here. But until next time, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Farewell, and goodbye, everyone.